Made in the Marianas. A captivating night of shows and programs, all made in our region. From local lifestyle features to KUAM news and sports specials. Made in the Marianas entertains, inspires, and shares the best in our community. Brought to you every Monday and Wednesday by Docomo Pacific. Tomorrow's Islands today. And Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
KUAM News headlines are presented by Calvo's Insurance, protecting Micronesia for 85 years. Matson and the Adai Itano program. Apply at matson.com and McDonald's of Guam. I'm loving it.
Ahead on KUAM News Primetime.
A roundtable discussion on Guam's military cultural heritage agreement abruptly ends due to a local activist group alleging a breach of the open government law. I'm Don Sulet, and stay tuned for tonight's top story.
From supporting the continued revitalization of Guam's tourism industry and providing Guam school communities the flexibility they need after enduring Typhoon Sinlaku, to building a brighter future for our students, 3 pieces of legislation are making their way through the Guam Congress building. The details coming up.
Guam Times' second annual at Collab on Sunday drew a crowd of 7,000 people to the streets of Tumon.
Good evening, Guam. Welcome back to the work week. This is KUAM News Primetime. I'm Jason Salas, and these are tonight's stories. And we're going to get started with your primetime news by giving you a look into what appears to be an alleged violation of the open government law. With a roundtable discussion aiming to provide the public and local lawmakers with updates to Guam's revised military cultural heritage agreement ending abruptly due to it not being properly advertised. Here's our Don Sulat with the full details in our top story.
We did not publish this meeting in any newspapers. The only reason why it's not a public meeting. It's not a public meeting. Thank you.
A roundtable to provide stakeholders with updates to Guam's revised military cultural heritage agreement quickly turned into a heated discussion on whether or not the Guam State Historic Preservation Office violated the open government law, with State Historic Preservation Officer Patrick Lujan telling those who were able to attend on Friday.
It's an information session, sharing session. I've opened this up. There's nobody there that we're denying. This is open to everybody. So we're here to share information.
Lujan telling KUAM's Matsuki Hariyama further details on what he meant about it being a quote-unquote information session.
The intent was really to share information and be transparent. Apparently, because of semantics and they considered this an official meeting, then we'll comply and come back 5 days later.
A sentiment that Muñeca Flores, an activist with Proteji Guahan, does not agree with. Flores telling KUAM that this was not the first time members of the public were not aware or invited to join in on a discussion.
Yesterday, there was a programmatic agreement workshop. There are these annual meetings on the programmatic agreements with Joint Region and the State Historic Preservation Officer. He is in charge of coordinating those and inviting people to attend. These meetings used to be open to the public.
Flores also told KUAM about the lack of presence from local lawmakers from the meeting between JRM and the Preservation Office.
We verified that Senator Calvo's office, she is the chairwoman, of course, of Cultural Resources, and also Senator Taitagui's office, the chairwoman of the Committee on Military Affairs. They were not informed of yesterday's meeting at Joint Region Marianas, and they confirmed that today's meeting was coordinated by SHPO. There have been no public notices in any of the local media, in the papers, and the announcement for this meeting does not exist on the government portal.
As for when the next meeting date would be, Lujan told attendees in KUAM that they would comply with the open government law and would have the next meeting 5 days from Friday. However, KUAM checked the GovGuam Public Notices portal and there was no mention of the next meeting date as of today. For Guam's News Network, I'm Don Sulat.
Don, thanks so much for that report. And you mentioned Friday, and on that day, Governor Lulian Guerrero signed a pair of pieces of highly anticipated legislation into public law. First up, Public Law 38-125, which allows the Guam International Airport Authority to extend its existing concession agreement, with the island's chief executive saying during this time of continued global economic uncertainty, this law stands to help protect jobs, economic activity, and stability in the tourism industry locally. She also adds every dollar a concession pays is a dollar Guam's families will save. Now, the second measure, which is now Public Law 30-126, waives the 180-day school calendar requirement following disruptions caused by Super Typhoon Sinlaku and the hardships on our island's students, families, teachers, and school staffers faced in its aftermath. The governor states that this waiver will provide the flexibility each group needs after enduring such a major weather event. In a message of passage, the governor thanks senators for their swift action on each of the measures and unanimous support for the school calendar waiver. Here's more from the Magahaga on what these new public laws mean for the welfare and stability of our people.
In moments like these, people expect the government to work together. And on behalf of our students and families, I appreciate that cooperation.
Now, she adds similar efforts should remain focused on helping our island recover together. Because recovery, she says, is not only about reopening roads or restoring power, it's also about restoring stability and helping families regain a sense of normalcy after what she says are obviously very, very difficult times for a variety of reasons.
That is what we are doing tonight, acting responsibly, planning honestly, and continuing to move Guam forward together.
Well, continuing with news from the People's Health, an 8th special session has been called by the governor to consider Bill 314, which was introduced last week by then acting Governor Joshua Tenorio. That bill would authorize Public Works to proceed with the awarding and performance of the Simon Sanchez High School construction contract, notwithstanding pending procurement protests or appeals, while preserving lawful protest rights and appropriate judicial remedies. In her letter to the Speaker of the Guam Legislature, Frank Blas Jr., calling for the session, the governor stated therein on the project has consequences, such as the island's public sector being forced to cancel the current procurement and restart the project entirely from scratch. It also has the impact of the continued disappointment of generations of sharks still waiting for a home of their own. Here now the latest, once again, from Governor Lulian Guerrero.
After years of disruption for students and families, and after generations of sharks being told to wait just a little longer, at some point, government has to decide whether systems exist to build schools for children or whether they exist only to protect endless processes.
A prior legislature enacted a similar measure in response to procurement delays affecting the reconstruction of John F. Kennedy High School, recognizing that prolonged delay to a critical public school project was not in the interest of the public. And the island's chief executive does make it clear the government of Guam did not reject an $80 million bid in favor of a sweetheart deal amounting to effectively double that price.
Under the law and under the RFP, only the top-ranked proposer's price could be open. The protesting party's price proposal remains sealed to this day. That's the law, and we are following the law. The law also required something else, that proposers use the government's approved school design developed through years of planning and input from educators, administrators, faculty, staff, students, and the community itself. That design was not optional. The selected proposer was ranked first under the qualifications-based process established by the law and understood by every participant from the very beginning. Only then was pricing opened and negotiated with the legal funding framework.
After over a decade of delays, tomorrow morning's emergency session could turn the tide of the project, bringing an end to double session arraignments and moving the Sharks that much closer to a homecoming. You want to stay tuned for this story because we'll have more on it tomorrow night on Prime Time. Let's move to news about island tourism now, as that industry continues to play a major role in our island's economy and culture, with leaders gathering to officially recognize Tourism Month with a proclamation signing. Now, community leaders and tourism officials gathered to officially recognize Tourism Month with the impact the industry continues to have on Guam's economy and community. Board member of the Guam Visitors Bureau, Michelle Merfalin, emphasizes the role the community plays in giving visitors a welcoming and memorable experience.
This year's theme, Hawk Day Starts Here, beautifully reflects our island and cultural heritage. Before visitors experience our beaches, food, or attractions, they experience the warmth, hospitality, and genuine human connection that make Guam so special. At the heart of each holiday is our spirit of Inafat Malit, caring for one another, working together, and creating harmony within our community. These values are deeply rooted in our culture, and they help create the meaningful memories visitors carry with them long after they leave Guam. And that's what makes tourism so meaningful for our island. Today's proclamation signing also reflects the strong partnership between government, industry, and community as we continue working together to strengthen the future of tourism for Guam, strategically growing visitor arrivals for sustainable economic growth, while also enhancing our destination in ways that directly benefit both visitors and our local people.
The proclamation signing serves as a reminder of the important role tourism plays in sharing Guam's culture, hospitality, and experiences for those visiting our island. Good news there. All right, please stay tuned, everybody. We are going to take a quick commercial break, but Prime Time will continue. So stay tuned. We're back after this.
This Memorial Day, save big at Kmart. Upgrade your home with incredible deals on home appliances, including full-size refrigerators from brands like Hisense and Wizard, starting at just $4.99. Refresh every room with stylish, affordable furniture made for comfort and everyday living. And get the sleep you've been dreaming of with the new Eon Home Mattress Collection. All in stock and ready to take home today. Don't wait. Shop these Memorial Day savings now at Kmart.
Now it pays to spread the Better Together experience. With our brand new referral program, you can earn up to $150 in account credits for every referral you bring in. That's right, family, neighbors, friends, even your coworkers. Just pass them your account name and account number. When they sign up for Docomo Pacific service and drop your info, cha-ching! Credit applied. So spread the word and start stacking those savings. Additional conditions may apply. Docomo Pacific, we're better together.
GU Self Storage, located in Harmon next to McDonald's, offers a variety of storage units. With rates starting as low as $95 per month, we offer complimentary use of dollies, push carts, appliance hand trucks, and pallet jack, with a fully covered loading and unloading areas and ADA accessible units. We offer 24-hour CCTV surveillance monitoring, alarm, and individual pin-coded gate and door access, because your safety is our priority. GU Self Storage, voted Pika's Best in 2024. Call 671-648-7867 today.
Well, from rough surf to raw courage, first responders who jumped into dangerous post-typhoon waters to save a woman at Ipoh Beach were honored Friday at the Guam Congress Building with life-saving awards.
A Friday presentation recognized Park Police, Guam police officers, and Guam Fire Department medics for a high-risk rescue just one day after Typhoon Sinlaku. According to officials, the woman entered the water despite warnings, walking along a rocky ledge before jumping into surf described as rough and extremely dangerous. Within moments, strong currents dragged her about 10 to 15 feet from shore, into waters estimated around 10 feet deep, as she began to go under. That's when Park police officers made a split-second decision. Lieutenant Anthony Martinez and Sergeant Joseph Gabatin jumped into the water, fighting powerful currents and crashing waves to reach her. From the shoreline, Sergeant Roki Pangilinan saw the woman submerging, immediately radioing for help before entering the water himself to assist. As conditions continued to worsen with waves slamming into the rocks and officers struggling to stay above, additional responders moved in. A second team, including Lieutenant Keon Pangilinan, arrived, calling in backup from Guam Police and Fire. Using a rope system as a makeshift harness, responders were able to pull the woman up over slippery, jagged rocks and out of surf. Medics treated both the woman and exhausted officers on scene before she was transported for further care. Officials say the rescue was a true team effort, carried out in some of the most dangerous conditions first responders face. Warren Pelletier, Deputy Director, Department of Parks and Recreation.
The challenges that these gentlemen went through, all of you in the fire department, police department, and park police, for putting your lives out there on the line to save this individual. It happened during the storm, and they wasted no time in activating what they needed to do to try to save this person.
10 first responders were recognized with life-saving awards, honored for their courage, quick actions, and commitment to protecting life, even in the face of dangerous seas. Joey Terlahi, Superintendent, Park Police.
Every day you go out there and you risk your lives and to preserve life. And it has to be recognized, and that's one of the reasons why when I heard about the whole incident and saw everything, that's what prompted me to reach out to everybody, the powers that be, to let it be known that these are the things that these guys do almost on a daily basis to go out there and protect life. So once again, guys, thank you very much for everything that you guys do.
10 first responders were awarded for their heroism, recognized not just for their actions in the moment, but for their commitment to protecting lives, even in the most dangerous conditions. Jonagan Charfus, KUAM News.
Well, thousands filled the heart of Tumon this weekend as local businesses, culture, and creativity took center stage at one of the year's biggest events.
Guam Times' second annual Mad Collab block party drew more than 7,000 people Sunday, transforming Tumon into a hub of energy, entrepreneurship, and island pride. In partnership with the Guam Visitors Bureau and the Tumon Night Market, the event brought together more than 100 local vendors, artists, musicians, and creators, showcasing everything from fashion and food to music and art. Organizers say the goal was simple, collaboration, and for many in attendance, that mission was clearly on display. Attendee Lawrence Alcaro.
I think it's a great event. This Mad Collab is a way to showcase all of our local businesses working together, but I think even more it's a way to show how our government through GVB as well as our private sector can come together to bring together events for locals and tourists alike to make our island a better place to work, live, and play.
With long lines forming hours before the event even began.
It's been busy, man. The lines are crazy. The lines for some of these stores, I knew they would be long, but dang, there's some lines that people started lining up at like 3 p.m., man. It's a good turnout.
For attendees, the event wasn't just about shopping, it was about community. Attendee Josh Taikengo.
It's great. I love the little remix of all the different vendors and just like all the different businesses. I feel like it should happen and continue to happen every year or even more often, maybe quarterly.
With strong support from both the public and private sectors, organizers say Mad Collab continues to highlight the power of partnership while giving local talent a platform to thrive. Guam Time also extended its appreciation to GVB for its continued collaboration in bringing events like this to life through the Tumon Night Market. Jonagan Charfus, KUAM News.
Now for a look at your world at home.
We are all super excited for the Riqueza ni Tasi Festival by the Sea down in PD. So while you get ready for that next weekend, here's a look at PD's signature Emerald Valley heading out to the ocean.
Everyone has goals. Saying yes helps you get there.
Retirement, huh?
Yes. When is it your turn?
I'm working on it.
And well-deserved.
Could I be a truck guy?
Oh yeah, we totally see truck guy.
Can we really do that right now?
Yeah, wild, right?
Can we start that college fund?
Yes. Because yes is so much more than the answer to a question. First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes.
Don't need a work break, keep the smile on your face. The moments you can't replace, and I'll be around. Whoa, you can count on me. You can count on me for life.
Wherever life takes you, we're always here for you. Calvo's Insurance. Count on us for life.
Tonight's sports feature is brought to you by Cars Plus.
Wesley kicks out. Simon, big three. Oh, baby!
soul on a track.
Wesley kicks out. Simon, big three. Oh, baby!
From sauce to dust to nuggets. Diablo dusted crispy chicken nuggets. No, they don't come in mild. That would make like 0 sense with the name. Or the whole explosion thing we just did. New Diablo dusted crispy chicken nuggets. A brand new classic. Only at Taco Bell.
Freedom, that's a cheap thing. Freedom to ignore this, that's a cheap thing. Sacrificing facial hair to nature and involuntary blood donations, cheap things. No one signs up for an 800-pound bear chase. But if it happens, cheap thing. VIP parking, exfoliating, treating gravity like a suggestion, saying, it'll dry. Free-range parenting, forgetting if that's a moose or an elk, all cheap things. Remembering without saying it, couldn't be more of a cheap thing. Sweating your tail off, freezing your tail off, and Americans saving another American's tail. Cheap things. Making a cheap vehicle for only people with cash like him? Not a cheap thing. Or confusing capability with unaffordability? No, not a cheap thing. Making adventure affordable? Now that's a cheap thing. So we're bringing you more cheap things this year, because cheap things should be everyone's thing.
News Bites is brought to you by Docomo Pacific, Better Together, and Fresco Clothing, original custom design apparel of Guam and the Marianas.
You know what, my friends, the letter U, right, is a lot of things, and it's a wonderful thing because Project U is all about you. And we mean we're talking to the island's youth, and GPD really, really cares about the young generation, and they are reaching out through their Project U program to impact. Young Guamanian men and women, empowering, right? It's not just commanding island youth. It's not telling them what to do. It's not scaring them. This is empowering island youth with opportunity, with lessons, with information, and with support, right? And these are young men and women who are going to make the right decisions through sport, through mentorship, through opportunity once again. So please make sure to register. This is a wonderful program. I've covered this for years, and it's May the 26th through June 19th. Really, really good program. And the next generation is taken over, and they are going to do great things because of GPD and these wonderful programs. So salute to you guys at the Guam Police Department for Project U. All right, Run Walk for Autism. You've only got a few days left to register, to get the dry fit, to make sure that you show our community that we care about families. We care about all families, right? But we stand by and support Autism Community Together. It's this wonderful organization run by my good friend, retired Major Joe Bloss, and she and her colleagues, and Kathy Duenas and all of my friends over there, they do such a wonderful job. These incredible people put on this 2K, 5K run walk. It's down at Chamorro Village. It is each and every year, and we are really, really excited. And we are going to be there too. Because, you know, at KUAM, we're trying to get out and run. So, hey, run right alongside us. That's going to be fun. All right, and then down in PD in Central Guam, further down the road than Chamorro Village, the good folks of PD, the municipality by the sea, are having their PD by the Sea, the Sea Festival, right? Make sure to go check it out because it is coming up really, really soon. Next weekend, you are going to have food, music, games, arts and crafts, wonderful things that make PD such a wonderful and distinct and unique island village. And they are really, really excited about this. I know they were all bummed when the typhoon was coming and they had to push it back, but they have been getting it ready. I'm going to try and catch up with Mayor Jesse and find out about that. So you know what? Let me go give him a call, but watch birthdays right now. See who's blowing out the candles right now. I'm going to go call Mayor Jesse.
Happy birthday on this Monday, the 18th of May, to Nayani Rianne Matabusin Cruz. Happy birthday number 5 to our beautiful, funny, great singer and dancer, full of laughter, Princess Girl. We love you to the moon and back. Love from all of us, the familia, Papa Jess and Mama Dora Cruz Garrido, Daddy Ryan and Mommy Natasha and Auntie Riri. Happy 5th birthday. Steve Avaristo, happy birthday to you from Mom, Dad, wife, and your whole family. Happy birthday to Darren Kitachai, my son. Happy birthday from your mom and from David. And you get the blue heart. Very, very nice. And happy birthday to Mom, known to you and me as Becky Sablan. I hope your special day is filled with everything you love most. Great golf, nice. Lots of dancing, really nice. Laughter, super, super nice. And time with the people who you love the most. And that's the best. You bring so much joy, fun, and energy wherever you go. And everyone in your family says, Becky, we love you. And we also want to send out special happy birthday messages and messages of appreciation from the community to Rob Leongaro and Lainey Morales. Happy birthday from Station 4 of the Guam Fire Department. Thank you both for your service. And happiest of birthdays to Marjorie Cabrera Leongaro. Sissy, we love and miss you. Say your familia. Want to wish your special someone a happy birthday? Just click the QR code here on your screen or email birthdayclub@kuam.com.
Nevea Anderson is literally standing by, and she has tonight's episode of The Interview. She sits down with Department of Corrections Acting Director Joe Carbolito. That's coming up.
Yap like you've never yapped before with all new drinks, only at McDonald's.
Hafaday, and welcome to this segment of The Interview, a segment where we dive in depth on topics with newsmakers in our community. I'm Nevea Anderson, and tonight we are joined by Acting Director of the Department of Corrections, Joseph Carbolito. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Well, for those who may not be aware, this isn't the first time that you've stepped into this role as Acting Director. I believe it was about 6 years ago, the first time that you became the Acting Director. So just to get us started, now that you've returned, when you first served as Director, what were the biggest challenges that DOC was facing at the time, and maybe how have they evolved or even stayed the same now that you're back in the role?
Yeah, so I want to say it was a very difficult time when I first came in because COVID hit the island. It was at the height of COVID. And, you know, policies had to be made to adjust to that environment, right?
Right.
To protect not just the the prisoners, but also the personnel, you know, under the Department of Corrections. And, you know, aside from that, you know, because we're now, you know, where we're at today, everything has changed, right? We're pretty much back to normal. There's no more isolations, no more mandatory quarantines. You know, the Bureau of Prisons no longer also track, you know, COVID. So we're back to normal with that. So that's how it evolved. We're no longer, you know, doing what we did 6 years ago compared to now. But aside from that, of course, staffing, right, is always an issue and always has been an issue. We've been trying to address that back then and till this day. But I think DOC is not alone, you know, in you know, staffing shortages. You can even make that argument even with the Department of you know, Administrations, right? Because they handle a lot of our personnel issues. So I would think staffing, but honestly, 190 compared to 150 when I first assumed the corrections department leadership, it's not bad. If you look at the numbers, right? We're at a better place at 190. They've continued the recruitment. It's just there are some delays, right? That comes with the system.
Right.
And like I said, DOC is not alone on that, right? I mean, all the other law enforcement agencies can make that same argument that, you know, the delays in the recruitment are, you know, probably the most difficult.
Right, and I know you mentioned during the FY27 budget hearing for DOC that a big part of the delays in recruiting, even though there have been measurable successes with raising the number of you know, staff at DOC, one of the biggest delays is the background and the security checks for the applicants. I think a lot of people can agree that we're okay with delays in that area, especially ensuring, you know, that the people who serve and who you know, work in those facilities are,
the integrity of the job, right?
Right, and like you said, there's 190 officers or staff members within DOC, but that's compared to almost 1,000 detainees and prisoners at facilities or across the facilities, correct?
Correct.
So I just want to know, what does that ratio mean for the day-to-day operations and the safety of both the detainees and the inmates as well as your staff?
The 1,000 to 190 ratio, that would, if you do the basic math on that, you know, it's like 1 to every 5 prisoner, right? But if you really look at that ratio, it's really good. It's more, it's above the desirable level compared to how the Bureau of Prisons, you know, looks at it, because the Bureau of Prisons desirable level is 1 to every 6 inmate. Nationally, it's like 1 to 9. That's the national average, right, in other prisons compared to Guam. But that's kind of like deceiving to a certain extent, right? Because our prison here in Guam, the design is very different compared to stateside or even the federal prisons. They didn't really, to me, this is my opinion, of course, right? The design was not really thought out, you know, when they built this prison, because it takes a lot more manpower, you know, to man it. Only because all the posts, the different units are separated and they're far apart. If you go into the main facility, you know what I'm talking about, because it's going to take a while for, and it's a safety issue, right? It's going to take a while for an officer to get from one post to another, or from the actual main facility to a different post, you know, before, you know, help arrives, right? And again, you know, the other factor is that, you know, the detention facility, which is down in Agana, and the main facility, right, are apart, right? They're not together. So it's probably easier to man the detention facility, because it's a smaller and it's consolidated, right, where you can put more personnel in there, right, than you would at the separate housing units up in the main facility, because for every housing unit you have, you know, maybe 60 to 70 inmates or detainees, right? And it's hard to put 2 or 3 officers like how we would like to man it, right? Because of the shortage. But we have no choice, because all the housing units are separated and they're divided into 60 or 70. If you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, right. And also with, you know, as you were saying, the staff and the officers being so spread out, or having to work with, you know, those distances between the posts and the main facility, that also calls to mind the overtime that the officers are working. You know, they're working 12-hour shifts, as Major Anton Uggan mentioned during the budget hearing recently, and that within your budget, about $3 million of it would be going towards overtime costs. At what point, in your opinion, does relying so heavily on overtime stop becoming a temporary solution and start becoming a long-term risk for the department?
I think the overtime issue, and you know, it goes with the staffing shortage, right?
Yes.
That's the reason why the overtime is as high as it could be, you know, and it's been tracking that way, you know, most recently, you know, maybe even more than, you know, 3 million. But what we do is we try to manage it the best we can. And we do track, you know, the numbers, right, as far as who's working, you know, or exceeding the levels where we don't want it to be, you know, where it's not safe. And we do, and it boils down to frontline supervision, right? And I get the numbers also, right? And I see, you know, who's working so many hours. So I try to, you know, address that at every staff meeting, and we try to manage it moving forward. That's how we do things. The burnout factor, you know, I know that's, you know, also a question, right? You know, because they work so many hours. We try to give them their, you know, at least one or both days off. So we rotate that, right? We track it and we rotate. If, like, for example, in one week, you may have 1 day off. So the next week, we'll try to get you your 2 days, right? So we just try and rotate it, and we look at who's working the most hours, and we say, hey, you know, you need to take some time off, rest. We'll take some time with or spend some time with your family. And that's how we deal with it for the most part.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
After a crazy busy day, think the Ultimate Hut Bundle. Pizza, the easy indulgence, no drama wings, and sticks to lift your spirit. Dinner solved, all for only $36.99 from Pizza Hut.
Well, it's good to know that in the interim, while you were waiting for more recruits and officers to be brought into the department, that there's some balance happening to ensure that the officers are, you know, healthy and like able to continue their regular duties.
Yes.
Have you heard anything from your officers and other staff at the department about morale, despite those factors to their long work schedules and you know, those long shifts?
I think our officers, our employees in general, are dedicated and motivated, you know, to doing the job and making things work, you know, even despite the situation that we're in. A lot of them are loyal and dedicated to the department. But of course, at some point in time, right, something's got to give, right? And I understand that question. However, I think as long as leadership assures them and shows signs that we're supporting them and we're doing the best we can to get them the resources that's needed, right? I believe that would address the morale issue, knowing that help is coming, right? Whether it's getting more money, funding, for we've been paying overtime, on time, unlike it used to be in the past, right? Sometimes they wouldn't see it for months, but now it's paid on a timely basis. So it gives them some something good to think about, right? Hey, I can go spend this with my family, right? And so that's the benefit of it. Sometimes you get to use that and share it with your family, right? Whatever hard work you put into it. Right. And what we also do is we try to look out for them with upward mobility, right? And fair pay, equal pay. So we've been working on that, right? We've been, since my first time around, I started the promotion process, and we promoted actually 70 personnel my first time around, and that continued. So once you get that started, right, it continues. It evolves and it continues throughout time, right? Because when they move up, there's vacancies right below that, right? So you continue that. It's like a domino effect. And the pay issue, we're also looking at advancing their pay, because it's not always where we want to be, right? Everyone wants higher pay, right? It comes and it does motivate you, and it does bring up morale when you see that your leadership is looking out for you and in that aspect. So there's a movement to get the position descriptions looked at, and we're raising the standards for corrections officers, as far as education, and training, so that the knowledge, skills, and abilities are compatible to the other law enforcement agencies. That way we can make that comparison when you get the Hayes study for pay the next time around. If you have higher educational requirements, higher level of training, right, then that would advance your pay to a higher level.
Right. Well, it's good to hear that leadership is coming in to uplift everybody at the department while these challenges are still ongoing. Now, I want to shift gears just a little bit to talk about the detainees and the inmates at DOC. Again, mentioned during the budget hearing that another issue that the department is facing is that a growing number of inmates and detainees are coming in with medical issues, mental health issues, and substance abuse issues. How has that changed the role of corrections officers, or maybe shifted their responsibilities a little bit for those who still view corrections officers as strictly security personnel?
So the focus still remains security. The primary focus is security, right, for corrections officers.
Of course.
Although those issues, are there, we have internally medical staff, right, that through our memorandum of understanding with or agreement with GMH, we have medical staff. We have a doctor. We have nurses, on hand in the facility, in the main facility, and down in the Hagatna detention facility. And we also have, during my first time around, the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness, personnel that's there also internally now. They have an actual post dedicated just for behavioral health issues dealing with that prisoners may have to deal with. So we have pretty much everything that's needed internally. So when a prisoner needs those services, it can be addressed by them requesting a remedy. They put in a remedy request, right, or a call, whatever you want to, address it as, and then they send it to whoever the platoon commander is, on duty, and then that request is given to the medical staff or Guam Behavioral, for whatever specialized needs they may need. Now, if it's off-site, right? In other words, they need a referral, right, for specialized medical needs. Then, we can also, send them to wherever the specialty cares is at. And we now have a pilot program that's going with the Department of Administration. Where it's like a self-pay insurance, government insurance for each inmate.
Okay.
So they're covered under the Government of Guam health insurance program. And that just started, I believe, at the beginning of the last fiscal year, or this fiscal year, I'm sorry, at the beginning of so October 2025, maybe. They're trying that out right now where, each inmate is covered by the, similar to the GovGuam self-paid insurance program.
Have you seen any feedback from that pilot program, either from inmates or detainees who are utilizing it, or even the staff who are facilitating their care, or anything like that?
So far, I haven't heard any negative feedback. It's been working. They've been paying the, every time we refer them to specialty care, DOA just pays the, the premiums, whatever needs. I think it's like $300 per inmate. So if you do the math, 1,000, that would probably cost the government like, 300,000, annually.
And a part of the reason why I bring this up is because the department also spent in recent years millions of dollars on inmate medical care, including dialysis, dental services, and other treatments. Is that putting pressure on DOC's operations budget?
In the past, it probably would, but now when I first came in, we did have prior obligations for medical, debts. But now, in my new role, right, coming in just recently, all of the medical bills have been, paid for, taken care of, and this program is probably helping. The new program that, that's on a pilot, I thank the administration for, thinking outside the box and, looking at that as a, as an option. And I think it's working. I don't know what the end result will be, once they look at all the numbers, and compute all the numbers afterwards, right? If it's going to continue, but I think it's working.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
And also, I wanted to touch on the infrastructure at DOC, as you mentioned it earlier as well. Security and technology were major points that Major Anton Uggan brought up, and he testified that some security cameras cannot function properly without internet connectivity, which has been a goal to get installed facility-wide for many years. How concerning is it to operate a correctional facility that has those limitations or maybe has those lacking areas, and what's being done currently to address them?
Yes, I agree that it's a security concern, right? Safety concern. Whenever you don't have, working cameras that, of course, function along with, proper internet connectivity, right? But we are we do have already we have established some money, like $200,000 of Byrne. It's called an Edward Byrne grant, federal program that gives assistance. It's a JAG, Justice Assistance Program money, right? That assists public safety or law enforcement. So that money has already been, I mean, the request has been submitted, and it's going to be going out for bid in a couple of weeks. So the internet is going to be fixed. And
that's good to hear.
Yeah, moving forward, we're going to get a pretty good, prison type, internet, system that's going to, benefit the department long term.
Freedom, that's a cheap thing. Freedom to ignore this, that's a cheap thing. Sacrificing facial hair to nature and involuntary blood donations, cheap things. No one signs up for an 800-pound bear chase, but if it happens, cheap thing. VIP parking, exfoliating, treating gravity like a suggestion, saying it'll dry. Free-range parenting, forgetting if that's a moose or an elk, all cheap things. Remembering without saying it, couldn't be more of a cheap thing. Sweating your tail off, freezing your tail off, and Americans saving another American's tail. Cheap things. Making a cheap vehicle for only people with cash like him? Not a cheap thing. Or confusing capability with unaffordability? No, not a cheap thing. Making adventure affordable? Now that's a cheap thing. So we're bringing you more cheap things this year, because cheap things should be everyone's thing.
Hopefully with the new prison, and we're probably going to talk about that. I'm almost sure you guys are going to ask me about that, right? That will fix everything. A new prison will fix just about everything.
And so I guess moving on to that point, overcrowding and infrastructure issues and internet issues are all contributing to the department's argument for building a new facility, which is the process started over 10 years ago to get that moving, get that project moving. And in the meantime, DOC is considering opening up another dome to address the overcrowding. Realistically, in the interim, how much relief does that provide when there are other issues within the facility, whether it's in Hagåtña or in Mangilao, while those issues are persisting?
Yes, you're absolutely right. That we've been doing Band-Aid fixes, right? I mean, let's face it, the prison is an aging facility, right? And with any aging building, that's all you can do is do Band-Aid fixing, with the infrastructure and everything else that has depleted in time, right? But we with that new dome that we're opening up, of course, that's just thinking outside the box. Mm-hmm. It's been dormant for a while. They haven't used it, so of course when I came in, I looked at it and I said, hey, this would give us some kind of relief, right? Not what we're looking for, but it's something that would help us out short term, right? Again, it's a short-term fix. That would give us space for another 80, beds, and that would give us the opportunity to also, move prisoners around, right? From the overcrowding in Hagåtña, because that's the main hub, right? That's where we take in new prisoners, detainees. So of course, that's where the crowding is going to be. So every time we have the overcrowding there that we look at, we try to manage that with space elsewhere, right? Which is up at the main facility. So that will give us the opportunity to move people around. So every time we have overcrowding here, we move people around, and we move them around, in the different areas where there's space. So that's what it does. It alleviates, the overcrowding in that perspective.
And looking at the long-term solution, which would be a new Department of Corrections facility, the project has faced multiple delays and canceled bidding processes due to funding issues. So from your perspective, facing the same issue 6 years ago when you came in and coming back now, what has kept the project from moving forward?
Straight answer, funding. We need a supplemental funding appropriations, to get the A&E going. That's the roadblock right now for the new prison, is getting that A&E, the architectural and engineering, phase done, right? We can't move anywhere unless that start of that project gets moving. So I think the other problem that we had was direction, communications, and coordination. There was confusion because there was another idea or plan by my predecessor to build 4 buildings, right? Which is different from the original master plan. When I first came in, the Modernization Act, right, which was developed and passed into law in 2021, I believe it's referred to as the 2021 Modernization Act. That's the original master plan that was thought out carefully. I want to say that on the record, okay? We paid $250,000 to get that original master plan going. We hired experts from off island. So this was pretty much thought out carefully. The design was looked at by experts. We sent our personnel, including Major Elgin, as one of them, to go and look at prison designs in the States that would fit our needs here in Guam, right? And we went to Ohio, we went to Michigan, and we looked at the prisons there. We wanted a prison design compatible to what they had there, and it's state of the art. I want to say that. So I don't know why we moved away from that plan, but that plan was well thought out, and I'm getting the support from the administration now that I'm back to go back in that direction and move forward with that plan and getting that plan back. No disrespect to my predecessor.